Not just because my eyes are runny. If we are all a balance, a blend of the elements, earth, water, fire, wind, but we will all have some element of which we are more composed, and I am very watery, so that if you try and push on me, I will yield, but I will come back and lift you up. Because remember, water is very, very soft. Water doesn't have much that you can grab hold of. It's not like earth. And water is very cooling. It's not like fire. I'm not going to consume everything, but water has the power to erode, right? And water has the power to lift up boulders and crash things around. Water can come as a wall, or it can just be a very simple stream. So I want you to know this about me, because if like I said, you try and pin me down, I will yield, and then I might just come and lift you up a little bit later, okay? I might just go around you and then come back and float you. Sometimes it's good to think about, what is your core element? I had to remind myself about being watery, because I had a hard time with this sermon. This sermon and we just went round and round and round. I argued with the title. I came up with a title, and I still argue with it. I regretted the whole topic. I contradicted myself with every word. I threw away half of it. I wrote 2/3 more, threw away more. It became very clear to me that I was resisting resistance. How inconvenient. In the process, I discovered that I'm at odds with several very core tenets of resistance. I even have problems with Gandhi's nonviolent resistance, because it depends upon the suffering of the resistors. And it's very powerful, and it has made amazing changes in this world. But I'm not so sure that it's a great place, a great way for everyone, all right? Because some of us are already suffering too much. And asking people to suffer in public is not always a good thing. I also realized that Gandhi's law of nonviolence was grounded in the Jain religion that he was raised in, his belief system, and it has some very admirable, amazing features, but it's not my lived theology. All right? This is where your theology becomes important. Well, we can talk about Jainism at a later time, because it is powerful, but got to unpack things carefully. In my arguing with myself, I had to say, yes, I prefer to be nonviolent, and yet I will defend myself. I'm kind of closer to Malcolm X than Martin Luther King Jr. that way. As you remember, Dr. King embraced Gandhi's law of nonviolent resistance, and he wove that into his Christianity, and it was powerful. But Brother Malcolm did not. His stance was, we are nonviolent with people who are nonviolent with us. That's different. Ultimately, I would like to be more Buddhist about it all. Reading the Dalai Lama's writings, I find he will say different things to different people at different times. But the thing that resonated with me is he said he sees that in reality, violence is not our strength. Yeah, my violence is not my strength. All right. So many of us have heard that we are called to resist but I have some real quibbles. Here are my real quibbles with the calls to resist. Because resistance is already presuming a reactive, an adversarial, a defensive position with two sides. And it's a tidy us-them equation with very clearly drawn lines, right, wrong, us-them. Don't look at that messy middle. The gray area doesn't count. And I have problems with any issue or situation that is being reduced into a dualistic either or us-them equation. I see that it's laying the groundwork. It's insisting upon conflict. And while I am not conflict averse, I am wary of any language. I'm wary of the language of aggression. If someone is telling me that I need to fight, that I need to do battle, that I need to smash things, or that I need to conduct an all-out assault on something, well, I get wary. Because I've studied aggression and defense for so many years as a martial artist. I am now very alert to any language about aggression unless it is truly about aggression or a very real act of defense. I'm very careful that way because fighting is very destructive and it's very tiring, and aggression is very tiring and dangerous, and even defensiveness is very tiring. And I want to save my energy for something more interesting. Besides, fighting presumes that there will be losers, and I cannot afford losers. Besides, it's a contradiction to fight for peace. And violence is not our strength. What is our strength? Say it. What is our strength? Love. What else? Truth. Whose truth? Careful. Gratitude. Justice. Wisdom. Compassion. Consensus is powerful. Creativity. Creativity. Curiosity. So yes, I'm all for resistance. But it does not have to be grounded in violence, okay? Resistance can simply be the act of not participating. But it's more fun if we're creative rather than destructive. Okay? Enough with the quibbles. Let's get on with the basics of resistance. All right, I went out and I asked the other ministers, so what do you recommend your people about resistance? Oh my, books and lectures and websites and oh my heavens, all the ways on how to resist with a capital R. And so I went through them and I was really surprised to find out that they kind of contradicted one another. One recommended that you spend time alone in contemplation. Another one recommended that you go out and join groups. And one said to spend time in groups of people who were like-minded for support. And others recommended that you go spend time in groups of people who you don't have anything in connection with different opinions to learn from them. And all of them did stress that you should get enough sleep and drink plenty of water. That's good. But none of them reminded you to be silly. None of them reminded you to not take it or yourself too seriously. None of them warned you not to bring a taco to a burrito fight. Another minister did warn me that the very word resist is now code language to help liberals focus their action. And she wanted me to be very careful of offending any conservatives in my congregation. She warned me. Point taken. But, really, honestly, conservatives are very good at resisting, usually resisting change. We don't have, we don't get to corner that market. Okay. So what am I suggesting you resist? No, I'm not going to tell you what to resist. That is up to you. I want you to think about it very clearly. But I am going to observe that it's very rarely a choice. It's usually a calling. Take careful inventory. You don't have to pick just one thing. Maybe you are called to confront and dismantle white supremacy culture. Maybe the patriarchy. Maybe consumerism, that which we are soaking in. Rapacious destruction of the earth? How about heteronormative gender roles? Yeah. Toxic masculinity. Ableism. Ageism. Perhaps you simply refuse to participate in anything that degrades your inherent worth and dignity. Perhaps you simply refuse to participate in anything that degrades the inherent worth and dignity of any person. Here's what I'm resisting. Evil. What is evil? Treating people like things and treating the earth as if it is something to be consumed and expended. That's just me. Once you have figured out which you are called to refuse to participate in, here are some handy tips for success. Breathe. Breathe deeply and often and intentionally. It will change the way your brain works. It will change your whole system. Breathe, not that shallow breathing of just maintaining the status quo. It's that deep breathing that literally inspires you. And use that breath to project your voice and live fully in this moment. Recognize that there are powers that want you to feel afraid. Take a deep breath to calm yourself and support you while you work. There's another tip. Create. Because we are surrounded by soaking in a consumerist culture, being creative is transgressive and disruptive. Create for the sheer cussedness of it. Create not for profit, not for gain, just for the act of creating, in rejection of the messages that you must consume to be worthy. No, take those glossy magazines with the pretty pictures that show you how things are supposed to be. That's just a form of pornography. Rip apart the pages of a magazine. Create a collage that reflects your reality. Take manufactured beauty and rearrange it. Take dirt. Take onions or words or your own body and make them dance. Your creativity, with your breath and your creativity, you will interrupt those little loops of fear and self-doubt, and you will replace them with curiosity and courage. Next tip. Listen. Not that kind, gentle, passive listening. No. Get seriously disruptive with your listening. Don't just listen to the things that tell you the things you already know. Go listen to the things that you weren't quite fully informed on. And do that kind of listening where the person knows that you are keenly paying attention and listening to what is said and what is not said. That kind of listening that lets people hear their own voices. The kind of listening that might change you first and everything else second. Radical listening. What did I call it before? Disruptive listening? Disruptive listening. Oh, and because this sermon got rearranged so many times, I forgot to put this first. Here are the basic principles of resistance. Only do what you can do. Do not do what you cannot do. And you can probably do more than you realize. There are some corollaries, but here, let's get back to tips. They're more interesting. Avoid getting stuck in the on position. Be very careful about staying angry all the time or very concerned all the time. It depletes your adrenal system and nobody will invite you to their parties. We need all of your emotions to prevail. Feed your soul. Make peace with your joy. Joy is essential. Smug satisfaction and self-righteous certainty, they are not enough. And they can make a person insufferably annoying. And then we get back to the whole party invitation thing. Oh yes, here's this one. Failure is not an option. It's a requirement. You will fail. We will fail. But we will learn. Stay curious. Show up. And be ready to celebrate successes, small and large. We are unhappy with the fact that the school name has not been changed, that there's been these sort of weaselly, waffly moments, but we're at least talking about it. Yes! And there's a petition you can sign, and there's a meeting tomorrow night. Show up. Take a deep breath. Be ready to celebrate. You've heard this from me before. You're going to hear it again. Do not demonize or label people. If you do so, they will have no room or reason to improve because you have stuffed them in a box. If you are a person who boxes up others, why should they strive to change for you? Label the behavior, label the ideal, label the policy or the institution. Do not label the person unless it's a label you wish to wear. Do not make a martyr of yourself. A wise person long ago told me, God is not impressed with martyrs. Only other people are impressed with martyrs. But they still don't invite them to their parties. Yes, drink plenty of water, get enough sleep, because we need you healthy. This is long haul work. I like to think that you are long haul people. Don't burn out. Part of that includes building in time to reflect, adapt, adjust, and then go out and repeat. You need that time to reflect, to think about what have I learned? What has changed? How have I changed? What do I understand differently? Oh, wait. I see the world is changing. Okay, that's enough tips. But before I end, let me say a few words to those among us who are not feeling called to resist. I want you to know that's okay too. If your theology, if your understanding of how the cosmos work, if that is telling you to float like a leaf on the river of existence, That is fine by me. Life gives us plenty of things to struggle with, and it might not make sense to add to the struggles. So if you are floating, may I simply encourage you to float with style. I'm watery that way. And finally, I just want you to know that as we are all in this river of existence, I will love you as you are splashing or floating, because my loving is how I resist. May it be so, and blessed be.